Let's learn English with hilarious insults using speech mapping, so you don't resort to these.
Well, you have bad hair.
Hi, I'm Rebecca, speech therapist, author, and global educator. Here's one hilarious insult in American English.
You're the world's biggest single-cell organism.
Okay, let's look at the pronunciation, reductions, and contractions that happen here. You and are contracted to your, and when it's reduced even further, the pronunciation changes to your. Let's listen.
You're the world's biggest single-cell organism.
The word the is reduced to the before consonant sounds, such as the W in the word worlds. Let's listen.
You're the world's biggest single-cell organism.
The R in world is a rhotic R, meaning the tongue tip is bunched a little bit back and the tip is curled slightly upward and back, creating a bowl shape on your tongue. Practice pulling your tongue back to produce that clear There's a tension rather than a flat, relaxed feeling on your tongue.
You're the world's biggest single-cell organism.
Now, transitioning from an R to an L is very difficult for many ESL speakers. So one trick that can be helpful is to think of an or an R as ER, and to think of an L as like a UL. So adding the little vowel in your head. If you can put them together, Earl. Then add the other sounds. We're going to add the W. Whirl. Now add the D. World. And then faster. World.
You're the world's biggest single-cell organism.
And you can do this for squirrel or girl or pearl, anything like that. The L is pronounced with a dark L where the middle of the tongue is raised towards the palate, creating that throaty sound. Let's listen.
You're the world's biggest single-cell organism.
The LDZ consonant cluster in the word worlds. It's quite complex. So often what happens with three consonant blends when the middle sound is a T or a D is that the T or the D reduces, sometimes to basically deletion. And in this case, the D is nearly deleted, as you can hear.
You're the world's biggest single-cell organism.
The S at the end of worlds is pronounced as a Z sound, not a voiceless S. Plural S's that come after voiced sounds are pronounced as a Z.
You're the world's biggest single-cell organism.
The T at the end of biggest, because this is technically an STS consonant cluster, because there's another word starting with an S, basically, when the T is in the middle, it gets deleted altogether. So the result is that biggest sounds more like biggest.
You're the world's biggest single-cell organism.
The S then links to the next word starting with another S in single. So the result of that is that instead of saying biggest single, it sounds more like biggest single. Let's listen.
You're the world's biggest single-cell organism.
The NG in single is pronounced with that velar nasal NG sound with the back of the tongue, but because this is in the middle of a word, there is also a hard G pronunciation. Single. Go.
You're the world's biggest single-cell organism.
The word single also contains a dark L at the end of the syllable where the tongue's body rises, touching the palate. Single.
You're the world's biggest single-cell organism.
Cell also has a dark L as well, so pronouncing both of them with a nice high tongue. Let's listen.
You're the world's biggest single-cell organism.
The L from cell links to organism to sound more like lorganism.
You're the world's biggest single-cell organism.
The stress in organism falls on the first syllable, or, with that curled bunched back rhotic R. The G-A, in organism, reduces to G with the schwa sound. It's unstressed.
You're the world's biggest single-cell organism.
The S in this word is also pronounced as a Z sound. It's voiced. Z. Ism. Let's listen.
You're the world's biggest single-cell organism.
Listen to the stress of this sentence. Which words are the most emphasized?
You're the world's biggest single-cell organism.
The stressed words in this sentence are your world's biggest single-cell organism. Notice how these stressed words are a little bit longer and louder.
You're the world's biggest single-cell organism.
Let's listen for the rising and falling intonation pattern.
You're the world's biggest single-cell organism.
The intonation remains pretty steady and quite flat with a slight pitch fall at the end of organism. That flat intonation is signaling kind of like a lack of care. And it basically emphasizes the insult. Let's listen.
You're the world's biggest single-cell organism.
Practice for yourself to get this pronunciation and to understand the reductions and intonation patterns of this insult.
You're the world's biggest single-cell organism. You're the world's biggest single-cell organism.
Number 2.
Did you forget to take your Xanax this morning?
Okay, let's look at the pronunciation reductions and contractions that happen here. Did you forget to take your Xanax this morning? In natural speech, did and you often reduce to didj. The D blends into a soft j pronunciation. Did you, didj. The assimilation of adding the j or J kind of sound happens from a D to a Y transition. This is not purposeful. So this isn't something that people are purposely inserting. It's something that just happens when you move from one sound to another while your voice keeps going between the two. So if you don't do it naturally, it's likely just because your speech isn't insanely fast to result in that change. But let's listen to it anyway.
Did you forget to take your Xanax this morning?
Forget has stress on the second syllable, get. So the vowel in the first syllable is reduced to a schwa, sounding like fur instead of for, forget.
Did you forget to take your Xanax this morning?
The T at the end of forget is pronounced as a glottal T sound. So it's unreleased and it's kind of linking to the next word to. It sounds more like forget to. Forget to, forget to. So the T becomes one instead of forget to. Let's listen.
Did you forget to take your Xanax this morning?
To reduces to ta because it's unstressed. To take, to take.
Did you forget to take your Xanax this morning?
The T's in to and take, they have true aspirated T's. They're at the beginning of kind of like the one syllable word. So there's that slight puff of air. To take, to take. Let's listen to the aspirated airflow. To take.
Did you forget to take your Xanax this morning?
The K in take links to your, and your reduces to your in natural speech. So instead of take your, you're going to hear take your, take your. Let's listen.
Did you forget to take your Xanax this morning?
Xanax, the X at the beginning of Xanax is pronounced as a Z sound. The second X is pronounced as the X, KS sounds. Let's listen.
Did you forget to take your Xanax this morning?
The TH in this, it's produced so quickly that the tongue doesn't even have time to fully protrude past the border of the front teeth. So instead, this speaker is demonstrating a friction of TH very quickly, but using the inside of the teeth to create the friction air sound in this. There's still tongue against tooth contact, but it's not outside, it's in.
Did you forget to take your Xanax this morning?
Now, many ESL speakers struggle with the sounds or even the vowel in this. And they'll maybe use an E vowel, these. So if this is you, pull the middle of your tongue low for the vowel, down away from the palate. This. The R in morning is a rhotic R with the tongue bunching back, and the final ing sound is pronounced with the back of the tongue, that nasal There's no hard G in INGs at the ends of words. So instead of morning, you'll hear morning. Let's listen.
Did you forget to take your Xanax this morning?
Listen to the stress of the sentence. Which words are most emphasized?
Did you forget to take your Xanax this morning?
The stressed words in this sentence are Xanax and morning. These words are longer and louder, more emphasized than the other words, which are rushed through quickly.
Did you forget to take your Xanax this morning?
Listen to the intonation. The pitch rises noticeably on this morning at the end. This is a pattern that's used for yes-no questions, a rising intonation pattern.
Did you forget to take your Xanax this morning?
So practice for yourself to master the pronunciation, intonation, and stress patterns in this insult.
Did you forget to take your Xanax this morning? Did you forget to take your Xanax this morning?
Number 3.
God, I feel bad for your parents.
I feel bad for your face.
Okay, let's look at the pronunciation reductions and contractions that happen here. I feel bad for your parents, and I feel bad for your face. Feel is pronounced with a dark L at the end of the syllable. To pronounce that dark L, feel the middle of your tongue going really high in the mouth, making contact with the palate.
God, I feel bad for your parents.
I feel bad for your face.
The ah vowel in the word bad is stressed, so that ah vowel will be fully pronounced. The ah involves an open jaw and also retracted smile. Ah, ah.
God, I feel bad for your parents.
I feel bad for your face.
The D in bad, since it's followed by another consonant, basically it's unreleased. The tongue does not release from its position or contact with the palate until the F in 4 begins. So let's listen.
God, I feel bad for your parents.
I feel bad for your face.
4 is reduced to fur because it's unstressed, so it sounds like bad fur. Your reduces to your because it's unstressed as well, so it sounds like for your. Let's listen.
God, I feel bad for your parents.
I feel bad for your face.
Parents has stress on the first syllable, pair, and the second syllable, ence, is reduced to a schwa vowel, so it sounds more like unts, rather than ence. Let's listen.
God, I feel bad for your parents.
I feel bad for your face.
The same pronunciation patterns can be heard in her reply, I feel bad for your face. Let's listen.
God, I feel bad for your parents.
I feel bad for your face.
Listen to the stress of the sentence. Which words are emphasized the most?
God, I feel bad for your parents.
I feel bad for your face.
The stressed words are feel, bad, and parents. Listen to how they stand out more than the other unstressed words like I and for and your, which were reduced and pronounced more quickly.
God, I feel bad for your parents.
I feel bad for your face.
Listen to the intonation or musical pattern at the end. What do you hear?
God, I feel bad for your parents.
I feel bad for your face.
There's a falling intonation pattern. The pitch actually rises higher on parents and that final stressed word, and then falls. That signals the end or finality.
God, I feel bad for your parents.
I feel bad for your face.
Practice for yourself to master the pronunciation, stress, and intonation patterns in this insult.
God, I feel bad for your parents.
I feel bad for your face.
God, I feel bad for your parents.
I feel bad for your face.
If you found at least a little bit of something from this video helpful, please repay me with a simple like and share it with someone that you know who might benefit. Doing that helps me to continue to give you and others all the free lessons you want. So thank you so much for doing that.
And like.
Number 4, let's look at another hilarious insult in American English.
For me, you're somewhere between a cockroach and that white stuff that accumulates at the corner of your mouth when you're really thirsty.
Okay, let's look at the pronunciation reductions and contractions that happen here. For me, you're somewhere between a cockroach and the white stuff that accumulates at the corner of your mouth when you're really thirsty. It's kind of intense. 4 is reduced to fur because it's unstressed.
For me, you're somewhere between a cockroach.
You are contracts to your, and that reduction goes to your. And the R is a rhotic curling R, so don't drop that R, yeah, your.
For me, you're somewhere between a cockroach.
Some in somewhere, the vowel is produced as an caret vowel. And this vowel includes a really closed or near closed jaw position, and the lips are just neutral. So instead of a common mistake is opening your mouth, som, keep your jaw closed, somewhere.
For me, you're somewhere between a cockroach.
The word between is pronounced with stress on the second syllable, tween. So that be prefix in this word can be reduced to an between. Let's listen.
For me, you're somewhere between a cockroach.
The N in between links to the A word, and it will sound more like na, because the A gets reduced. So between, na.
For me, you're somewhere between a cockroach.
The first O in cockroach is actually pronounced with an open, relaxed lip position. Cockroach.
For me, you're somewhere between a cockroach and that white stuff that accumulates at the corner of your mouth when you're really thirsty.
And is reduced to just a little sound because it's unstressed. Let's listen.
And that white stuff that accumulates at the corner of your mouth.
The clarity of the word that, or the TH, that. It's reduced. It's kind of sounding more like nat, just because of the sheer speed. The last T in that is pronounced as a glottal T, so it sounds more like that stopping air sound in the throat. The same thing happens to the word white, that T too. And this happens when unstressed T's are followed by consonants. So let's listen. Instead of that white, it sounds like that white.
And that white stuff that accumulates at the corner of your mouth.
The U in stuff is pronounced as that caret closed jaw sound. It's nearly closed jaw. So if you're opening your mouth and saying stuff, keep your mouth closed. Stuff. It's a very common issue for ESL speakers. To use the S blend trick, for those of you who add that for stuff, stuff, slide the S to the previous word. For the next that, it's unstressed here, so the vowel kind of reduces to the, and the final T in that turns to a flap T. It sounds like a D since it's surrounded by vowel sounds. Instead of that accumulates, the accumulates. Let's listen.
And that white stuff that accumulates at the corner of your mouth.
The A in accumulates is reduced to rather than since it occurs in an unstressed syllable.
And that white stuff that accumulates at the corner of your mouth.
The CU-MU pronunciations, those include an extra little U insertion. So instead of what you might think is kumu, it will be kiumu or even kiumia. Notice the little y sound in there.
And that white stuff that accumulates at the corner of your mouth.
At is reduced to it's a schwa sound with a glottal pronunciation.
And that white stuff that accumulates at the corner of your mouth.
The reduces to the because it's unstressed and followed by a consonant. Let's listen.
And that white stuff that accumulates at the corner of your mouth.
Many ESL speakers, they drop R's, especially in words with many R's in them, like the word corner. So focus on two full bunched curled back R's. Corner.
For me, you're somewhere between a cockroach and that white stuff that accumulates at the corner of your mouth when you're really thirsty.
Of is actually reduced entirely to just an sound, just a schwa. The V is deleted entirely.
The corner of your mouth when you're really thirsty.
Your reduces to your. Let's listen.
The corner of your mouth when you're really thirsty.
Mouth includes a voiceless TH sound. So be sure to protrude your tongue tip, but just allow little air to pass, creating friction on your tongue tip. So instead of mount, create some friction. You can pull your tongue out a bit, mouth, blowing.
The corner of your mouth when you're really thirsty.
The words you and are contract into your, and then it's produced in an even more reduced way to your. Let's listen.
The corner of your mouth when you're really thirsty.
ESL speakers often struggle with the Y sounds at the ends of words. So that word like very or every, that E sound can sound a little more neutral like an I. Very, every. So to kind of ensure you're doing this with a full E vowel, add that big smile and pull your tongue high. E, very. And in this case, really thirsty.
The corner of your mouth when you're really thirsty.
The TH in thirsty also involves that tongue tip creating friction with your front top teeth. So if you pronounce this word as thirsty, allow your tongue tip to relax out and away from that front tooth to allow some air through first. Thirsty. Listen to the stress of the sentence. Which words are emphasized?
For me, you're somewhere between a cockroach and that white stuff that accumulates at the corner of your mouth when you're really thirsty.
Cockroach, white, accumulates, corner, mouth, really thirsty. They're all a little bit stressed and they carry a little bit more meaning than the other words, which are more function words. Let's listen.
For me, you're somewhere between a cockroach and that white stuff that accumulates at the corner of your mouth when you're really thirsty.
Listen to the intonation or the musical pattern. What do you hear?
For me, you're somewhere between a cockroach and that white stuff that accumulates at the corner of your mouth when you're really thirsty.
The pitch variability, or meaning how high and how low the pitches reach, they remain quite flat throughout this. This lack of variability or flatness here, it's indicating a lack of emotion. Can you hear that flat intonation?
For me, you're somewhere between a cockroach and that white stuff that accumulates at the corner of your mouth when you're really thirsty.
Practice for yourself to get really natural and fluent with these American English pronunciation changes.
For me, you're somewhere between a cockroach and that white stuff that accumulates at the corner of your mouth when you're really thirsty. For me, you're somewhere between a cockroach and that white stuff that accumulates at the corner of your mouth when you're really thirsty.
You're weird.
I'm not weird. Okay.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not. And you started it.
No, you started it.
Okay, let's look at the pronunciation reductions and contractions that happen here. You are weird. You and are contracted to become one as your, and in natural speech, you'll hear this reduced to your. Let's listen.
You're weird.
Many ESL speakers struggle with the W pronunciation. So if this is you, round your lips into a very tight circle and protrude your lips forward so that they're not near your teeth vibrating. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Think of it like a double O. Ooh. Weird. Compare that with weird. Weird.
You're weird.
The R in weird is a rhotic R, and that just means the tongue tip is going to, well, the whole tongue bunches back and the tongue tip curls, creating that bowl shape. You want to focus on the feeling of pulling your tongue back. The final D in weird is released since it occurs as the last sound of the phrase. The D is also voiced in American English, so ensure your voice is on, avoiding the voiceless version, which is like a T sound. So the word weird might accidentally sound like weird. We want voicing. Weird. Let's listen.
You're weird.
Listen to the stress of the sentence. Which words are most emphasized?
You're weird.
Both your and weird are stressed in this sentence. Pretty simple. Listen to the intonation or musical pattern. What do you hear?
You're weird.
The sentence has a flat intonation that emphasizes judgment in this insult. Let's listen.
You're weird.
Practice for yourself to master the pronunciation and intonation patterns.
You're weird. You're weird.
If you're looking for one place that has everything you want to know about English pronunciation secrets so you can speak English confidently, go to my website, proactivepronunciation.com, go to video course, that tab, and join over 12,000 students who've already achieved that goal and love it. So why even do this speech mapping exercise? Number one, you'll understand fast native English speakers so much better. Number two, you'll actually enjoy watching movies and videos, possibly even without subtitles, because it reduces your need for extra cues to figure things out. It'll also improve your fluency, your naturalness, your speed when you're speaking English if you know these reductions and contractions and can do them well. And number four, it'll help you to speak English with more confidence, and what could be better than that? And if you want to learn more pronunciation secrets, watch this video, because I know you're going to learn things about the American accent that you've always wanted to know. I'll see you there.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Okay, a simple wrong would have done just fine, but